Good evening, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the BBC. In fact, today is the last time, although it won't be the last time we're streaming, this is the last time we will be streaming as the Bordweall Broadcasting Company. We have a number of guests here, Noslim, Mel, Borne, Ren, and somebody there in the middle with a logo. So go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Ren. I've been here.
Yep, Mel.
Yeah, that.
Been here off and on for 2 years. I'm Noslim. I was a former Duke. I'm no longer a Duke because CoE's dead and nobody gives a shit anymore. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Alrighty. So after that rousing
there's a
introduction from our
There's a
guest,
mysterious maple leaf here that we're not familiar with.
yeah. Is he going to say anything, or is he just going to?
Yeah. Count Borne, leader of Novigrad. I've been working on some pretty good art for you guys for the night, so I hope you appreciate as I show them off. I think I got to go higher still, but there you go, everyone.
Yeah, I love
Thank
how he
you so
introduces
much.
himself as a count still. Like he's
Yeah.
still
Still
hanging.
has the power.
We
Still
are
a count on
as king. I'm telling you, shut up. It's my turn. Ex-king. I'm janitor now. So we have so much to go over today. It's kind of like it's going to be chaotic. If you are offended by bad language, mute us or log out right now, because there is going to be some bashing, understandably, of the studio and of Caspian. We don't want to focus on that, though. I think there's been plenty of live streams. There are plenty of Discords out there where people are venting. It is part of the grieving process, and I think we kind of like want to put our own little personal boot in, but we don't want to dwell on it. We're actually going to be also looking at some of the things that were going on behind the scenes with the politics. I've been forewarned that there might be some awkward questions asked of me to answer about what was going on, and we'll go from there. To kind of like explain things in a little way, Alex, do you have the picture of the kind of like the grieving process? I'll quickly go through that just for a minute, and then we'll go into some stuff. Do you have that up? So basically, when there's a loss, usually associated, with the passing away of somebody or something like that, there's a grieving process, and there are typically 5 stages, and that's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Denial, anybody who is still in denial that CoE is over, I'm sorry, wake the fuck up. It's done, it's over, it's not coming back. This is going to trigger initially anger, and that's you, fuck Caspian, blah, 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 and all of that stuff. Why the fuck did I spend, $20,000 on this game just to get a shafting at the end? Bargaining is not negotiating. It's going into that phase of, oh my God, if only we'd have told Caspian this 2 years ago. If only we'd have done that. If only, we'd have stopped, supporting the game sooner, etc., etc. And then there's, people don't go through all of these stages, and they don't necessarily go through them in order. I accept that it's over, it's done with and stuff. I'm not really depressed about it. I'm not bargaining if only we'd done this or we'd done that. I think the only thing I still have is anger, but I guess I have a bit of sadness, but I wouldn't put that in as depression. I'm sad for kind of like not just our community, but all of the communities that he fucked over. And
You have every right to be angry.
yeah, well, I'm definitely fucking angry.
Mostly I bargain. I start with bargaining, and then I accept it, and then I move to anger, and then I deny that I was angry. That's how.
Then that exact order just repeats a couple times, right?
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of go in order of give everybody like 5 minutes here on the panel, and please feel free to vent in the chat and everything as we go along. But we'll give everybody 5 minutes to kind of like do their little bit. You don't have to spend the whole 5 minutes on it, and pass off to the next person so that we kind of like move through this. Actually, let's make it 3 minutes of venting. Otherwise, the questions won't make it, right? Spend 2-3 minutes venting, do whatever. Noz, you're up first, and we'll follow by Borne so that we get the two nasty ones out the way first.
The nasty ones. Yeah. I don't particularly want to vent. I don't. I really don't. And so there's this misrepresentation out in the community right now that I've been venting and I've been on a warpath. Y'all ain't seen shit. Y'all ain't seen nothing. I promise you, you ain't seen nothing. I have a terabyte hard drive full of CoE garbage that no one should ever see, but I like to look over it because I'm a glutton for punishment. But no, I have no intention of releasing that shit. Unless legal counsel requests it, and I'll be happy to give it to them. But a lot of the shit that I have affects other people, and I could go public with a lot of the stupid drama and the bullshit that was going on in the background. But for what? What's it going to solve? What's it going to prove? It's not going to prove anything. There was some videotape that came out recently, and some audio tapes. That Caspian said that was the reason why he shut down the entire Discord and fired all the moderators and SERP and removed their access. And so I had released an audio clip, a small, very, very small clip to a very influential, well-known member of the community, a former queen in Alicia. I'm not going to name any names or anything, but you might be able to figure that out. So there was a clip of Serpentia saying some very not so nice things about her, and I sent that to her as a courtesy, out of respect. And so, but that was it. It was like a little 20-second clip of Serp being really nasty towards her, and nothing else. And there was a lot more on there. So I only released that to her and her only. And then Caspian made his announcements of some audio. So a lot of people thought that it was my audio that caused him to do that. No, it's completely something different. And I'm starting to think that it might not even have been anything at all, because I know for a fact that Caspian hated the moderator team for years and was always looking for a reason to get rid of it. And I also know behind the scenes, and I'm not covered under this NDA because this shit happened after I was no longer a part of the team. Caspian was planning to get rid of the moderator team anyway, and cycle them out every 6 months or some bullshit like that. Complete ludicrous. But anyway, he was on a mission to get rid of them anyway. So he may not have even had any audio, but that was my latest grief and gripe. I'll shut up and let somebody else have fun.
Borne, you're up, buddy.
So I won't go so much into the whole SBS marketing and all that shit. I will, however, give a shout out to the Soulbound Studio guys. The guys who have been fucking pointing out all the discrepancies with the studio for over a year now. And we were all called fucking trolls, pieces of shit, salty, all that stuff by the community for pointing out all these things that now all of a sudden everyone's agreeing with out of the blue, right? Amazing.
You're prophets.
So the first poster, so I've made a few posters today. And I asked them to choose which one I was going to show first. So this one's one for Serpentius again. So I just got to see if the cam has it nicely.
Yeah, you're off a little bit.
It's mirrored. It's so annoying.
Little dragon at the welfare office.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Well, that one goes out to Serpentius. Many people's favorite community manager out there.
Mm-hmm.
The next poster I have to show is one. Oh, this one's going to be hard to show. I'm going to have to open VC for this one. All right, here we go. So, Jeremy Walsh, Pornhub's newest porn star. Come and watch him fuck 250,000 people all at once.
Oh, that's talent right there. Pure talent.
And the last one's not so deep or as cutting. However, here you go. The truth, y'all.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's just as cutting, because the quality. Perfect.
Yeah, the quality actually matches the game that actually came out compared to the one that didn't. So I mean, there you have it, y'all.
Community wants to know if your art is available for purchase. So
you know what?
Top-notch quality.
I'm willing to sell the originals. Shipping only, so have at her.
Free county included. To the bar.
Yeah, per purchase. It's perfect. I have the right amount of counties. There we go, guys. Free county per each poster.
All righty. Renegade, how about your 2-3 minutes?
I am so glad I don't have to defend that shitty fucking studio anymore. I can stop pretending that they were doing a good job to try and keep morale up, because my God, they just failed at every turn, and they were bad goddamn actors. Like, they were just so terrible to the community. Like, it's just like they didn't care. They never made a fucking effort. They were inconsistent, and it's infuriating how disgustingly they treated people that had faith in them. And I hope they don't work in the industry again. And I hope they don't find success. And I hope that Caspian gets absolutely reamed by this lawsuit, because he deserves it. Him and his everything he put into this. Yeah, just he can go sit and spin. And that's what I got for you.
I couldn't agree more, Ren. That was my biggest regret, is that, there's a lot of innocent people out there in the community that were here for the right reasons, and they were just sweet natured as they could be. And I regret not doing more 2 years ago to show them what a shit show this really was in the back end. I did what I could, and I was heavily ridiculed for that. But I wish, in hindsight, I did more.
There's single developer games out there that are further along with shorter period of time and no funding than CoE, because CoE didn't bother to do anything. I don't know what the hell they were doing, but they spit out the equivalent of an associate's final project, like an associate degree final project, or even a high school project. There are kids in high school who can code what we were given. Everything else was a demo. It wasn't consistent. It was just, I don't know if they just didn't know how to make a game, but clearly they didn't know what they were doing, or they didn't care. What is Borny waving?
Camel. It's a camelback. Someone suggested I should have filled it up with alcohol. Just drank through the tube into my mask.
That's pretty much
Priorities.
how we need to. We
Genius.
just need to be drinking anytime we think of it. Like,
That's the hidden
a
stage of
toast
grief.
to the dead community, because the people of CoE, not the studio, they were the ones that made CoE great. Was the community, the discords of Illyria. You had thousands of people in those discords making more than the game ever would.
Yep.
And that's what's
Yep,
really
yep.
sad about it. Because $8 million
Mel,
would have done a lot better.
how about
done
yourself?
now.
What's
I mean,
what's your
obviously,
take on?
I'm not thrilled with all of it, but I think it was more management issues than, like, I wouldn't go far as to say I hope no one who worked on this game ever works in the industry again. There are, tons of people that were just, they were doing a job. They were there working, and they weren't in charge of how, the whole game progressed and all that. So I don't wish them ill or anything. In fact, I hope they go on and find jobs in, games and studios and everything that, they're happy with, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I will give Nazem his due. I gave him a lot of hell for a little while, and he ended up being right about quite a few things. Um, but as far as, bargaining and grief and all that, I'm pretty, like, I've got a bunch of other stuff going on in my life, so this hasn't.
You're over it already. You're
Yeah,
over it.
like, I just remember, like, so I will say one thing, the people I felt the worst about were the people that had just gotten land in the auction. Like, not 1 or 2 days before everything broke, I had someone who had just joined my community, who had just bought, like, just bought, like, a town or something, and they came in, and, we did the whole, like, "Oh, hey, what are you interested in?" Then 2 days later, it was like, "Nope, it's done." So those were the people that I felt really bad about, because they had just gotten in, they had no idea, and they were so excited, and then, like, 1 day later. So if anything, I think that was probably the worst part of all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have my little go now, and it might take a bit more than 3 minutes just because I'm a rambling old fuck. But I also have some screenshots to show and everything like that. I'm not going to speak for the other monarchs here. Obviously, I have no right to. I can only kind of like speak as to kind of like the tightrope that I felt that we had to, or that I had to kind of like walk between trying to build a community, trying to keep morale up, trying to, you know, it almost makes me feel kind of like I was enabling kind of thing, which certainly wasn't the intent, because I always felt that they were working on it, even if I disagreed with their management and stuff like that. Alex, if you can put up, there's the small little screenshot of the clip from my part of my conversation with Caspian. It's the one where he threatens me. This one goes back to, I think the date on this one is back in, this one goes all the way back to January 2018. So, and my relationship with Caspian had basically soured quite a bit before. Are you able to, I don't see that up yet. Okay, yeah, there. So if you can read that, basically, I had made a post. It was after the Free Kingdom event. It was something to do with, I think, because Free Kingdom counts were going to be put into the 10K club, etc. So I had made a thread, or had responded to a thread that had been started. And Caspian, he didn't like what I said in that thread, even though there was nothing badly said in that. But he basically, he accused me of having a rant, which I wasn't. He then said, extremely disappointed just how wrong I am, which in my opinion, I wasn't. And he threatened to basically shut down the 10K Q&As and the channel and everything, and make sure that he was going to let the community know that it was because of me. So yeah, it was very manipulative. It's not the only one, but it's, we weren't, at least not all of us were an echo chamber, as people think. And I'm not trying to justify myself or kind of like, distance myself from what has happened. But that was it. If you can put the other one up as well, the one where basically Caspian, I would be showing more stuff from Caspian. Unfortunately, he, big surprise, has unfriended me and I can't access some of those chats and everything. But I did have a big, long 2-hour conversation with him as a result of of a message that I sent to Serpentius. You guys can read it. I'm not going to read it all to you while it's up there. It's the rather large one. The one that's got it's got Serpentius' name at the top, and it says "Put in another way." I'm pretty sure Caspian has had no clue, etc. But I'm going to talk a little bit to this in the background while you guys read it. Yeah, that's the one right there. Hopefully, it's in enough resolution for you to see. But basically, I was fed up. I was absolutely fucking fed up and infuriated with the fact that this is meant to be a situation where it had, at least the way that I understood it, and I think many other people understood it, was that it is the community that is kind of like making the decisions and shaping the political landscape, etc., within the game, and it wasn't. It was. It was basically, it was kind of like we were allowed, or kind of like conned, for want of a better word, into thinking that. But if something wasn't going the way that Caspian wanted it, he would manipulate it behind the scenes. As part of that, it happened during the map voting, which is explained there. It also happened during that phone call. And again, I did not pull my punches. I was using, F words with Caspian. And as you can see in my message to Serp, I wasn't exactly diplomatic with that one either. Is that during my chat with Caspian, and since he fucked us, I have absolutely no problem in returning the favor. He admitted to me that that incident that I mentioned there, where he interfered with the outcome of the Free Kingdom event, he admitted that yes, he had, and that he wanted somebody else to win it, and he was basically giving them a warning. And there was a lot of us that put in a lot of money to back other candidates that we wanted to see as the monarch, and he just fucked us all because it wasn't the candidate that he wanted. Now, a certain particular queen of Alicia was running to be the monarch, and I can't say that he never declared to me who his candidate was, but I can't think of somebody more than his queen that he would like to see as his monarch.
Oh, put those screenshots up of Serpentius sending PMs blatantly talking about changing the outcomes of the vote based on I think it was the second one down underneath the Caspian dipshit popcorn image, Alec.
Yes.
That if you could throw that up, that shows a very clear pattern of we're going to do whatever we want to do. And as a matter of fact, here, Queen, well, the one right below that too, if you can jump to that one, says here, Queen, here's a list of people that have voted against you. Can you give me a reason why we should just toss their vote out? Because we will. We'd be happy to do that if you give us a good enough reason. And there was an entire list of people like Katie that just spoke in our chat. Apparently, you voted against Violet. Shame on you, Katie.
And I will say, I will interject here that these recent screenshots we literally just got our hands on a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so I mean, it shows a pattern of stupid shit going on in the background. But I think what you were saying, D, with Caspian's shitty treatment of you, that's behind closed doors, and I know you're not telling everything. I know you're just picking a few cherries off the top here. But what I will say is that Caspian didn't exactly have a good reputation of being cool, calm, and collected in the public. And when you're in the public eye and you're the CEO of a company, when you're saying things publicly, you're going to be on your best behavior. But even on his best behavior publicly, he was still telling Adam, fuck you, in front of 200 people in Discord, so behind the scenes, he was a complete piece of shit. And I think that filtered down with Serp and why Serp got some of the hate that he did. I'm going on a rant again. I know I am, but that's what our audience wants, right? But I don't completely blame Serp. Caspian, he takes ownership 100%, but Serp, I think is kind of a victim of his own circumstance. He said what he had to say to keep his job. What I didn't like, what he felt like he needed to do to keep his job, was pitting community members against one another for his own goals, and all the lies and the backstabs. When those individuals were no longer serving his purpose, that I don't particularly like, but I think he doesn't really get the full rap that he deserves, and in some cases, people hate on him a little too much. I think it's somewhere in the middle. But what I know for a fact is that he was not the upstanding guy that he led a lot of people to believe. I personally worked really hard for you guys, and I did exactly what the studio asked me to do. And as a result of that, I was treated like garbage a lot of the times. And so those were good times. But at the end of the day, the things that I regret doing the most, it's not that I regret doing the things I did. It's that I regret doing them for the people that I did, and the community that supposedly hated me so much, according to Serb. That's the things that I regret the most. And in some cases, I'm kind of glad CoE's dead, because it, in the back channels, it was one of the worst online experiences I've ever experienced in my life. It was just a complete shit show.
Yeah, I get that. Mel, any comments on that? Okay, if you don't.
That was a lot.
You mean anything to balance the scales? Nah. I mean, I didn't have a lot of personal experience with with SERP or any of the studio members. So I honestly can't speak to a lot of that. So yeah,
Yep.
it's what it is.
How about yourself, Ren? Any thoughts or comments on those screenshots and everything? Because some of these things, I have not shared because it's like, I had kind of like the role of, oh my God, we need to keep the game going so that this whole community that's put in all this money isn't fucked. And it's like,
I think the less you interacted with the official community and the official team, the better. You always had a better influence, feeling about them, the less you interacted with them, which tells you terrible things. There's a reason why developers are not allowed to talk to clients because they don't know how to talk to clients. You need somebody to sit between those people, and they clearly didn't put anybody between the community and Caspian, and they should have. And honestly, Caspian needed a wrangler, but that was assuming they ever had any good intentions in the first place, which they didn't. So
Wow.
don't you?
Yep.
This is how long I play nice.
So you're saying they never developed a game at all? Like they didn't do shit?
I think they made a bunch of demos.
They had asset artists working overtime to build hype and bullshit to sell to us, and they never actually developed a game whatsoever.
Make a mud.
I
can make better predictive.
I'm not saying I would argue with you at that point, but
I can make better stuff than they did, and I can't even. It doesn't take that much to generate random quest lines, and we very clearly saw that didn't really do that very well, and it was fetch quests.
Just to interrupt,
fetch quests we've had forever.
Yeah.
Holy Avenger.
Borne, how about your take on that?
And
just to comment on something Holy Avenger said as a response to that. Good intention doesn't do shit for you. Well, you're wrong. Good intentions get you $8 million.
Yeah, it does. Hype and bullshit. Pinterest fucking reskins will get you $8 million.
Yeah, you can go quite a lot just on good intentions. God, to comment on this shit show more.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't surprised. There's
2 years after when they were supposed to give us something, we weren't surprised.
D Nas and I got in a voice chat within minutes of it being announced, and none of us were surprised. We were like, well, it happened, now what? It wasn't like, oh, boo-hoo, fucking no one really gave a shit.
I said this on the Arcadia stream the other night with you, but my shock was my wife's response to all this. My wife's known what's been going on. She knows how much money I spent on this ignorant shit. And, her response when I told her CoE's dead, it's shutting its doors, it's no longer a thing, she said, oh, that sucks. It's your turn to watch the kids, and walked away. Didn't give a fuck. She didn't care. Right. I was hurt.
Let's move on. We're at half past the hour, and we got 15 minutes left. To kind of we have a hard time cap because at a 1:45 we're gonna, regardless where we are in the conversation, we're gonna switch to Rings of Una, our new project, and basically as far as this particular stream is concerned, CoE is done. So.
I want to ask you questions, and I don't want you to try and get away with it.
You can ask me questions. I might not get to answer them all or refuse to answer some, but let's go. Go ahead. And if anybody else has questions about some of the shit going behind closed doors, fire away.
Well, first of all, I want to mention to everyone that there is a class action Discord. If you don't have the link, reach out to us. We'll get it to you. A lot of people are in there. Get in there. We as a community need to make sure we do our due diligence, and maybe nothing comes of it, but we at least need to file a complaint with the Attorney General, the AG's office for Washington State, so that they can look into this and make sure, because as transparent as they always were, they were not very transparent. So we need to make sure that they take a look at that, and everything's above board. And there are things that you can do with Exala. You can open a live chat with them. There's a misconception in the community that they will only honor refunds for 180 days. That's not exactly true, because there are some certain things that that they'll make an exception for, such as a developer developing a game and closing its doors and filing bankruptcy, which CoE has. So they'll make an exception for you, and they'll potentially honor refunds until the money runs out, or till the insurance money runs out, or something. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't hurt to try.
You got any idea how far back?
So I think they said they'll go up to 500 days, but they've made some exceptions and gone above that. So I don't know if it's a case by case basis, but it doesn't hurt to try. So take a look at that.
I've been refunded for, I think, 600 days. I was back in a previous game called Mavericks. Mavericks shut down. Same thing. They closed down, and I had put in for a refund, and I got it. No questions asked. Nothing. Took 7 days. Done.
Nice.
So it works.
So give me some of that money.
$25, bud.
Alrighty, moving on because the clock is ticking.
Your questions. So I pulled a short list. I was digging for that, looking for that. I got some random questions for you. And these are good ones. I'm stalling, ain't I? These are really good ones. So the Kingdom of Bordweall had an internal guild called the Brotherhood of some shit. I don't fucking remember what it was. But it was a pretty nasty group of thugs that wanted to tear us down from within. They were at our throats, D. How many alts did you have in that Brotherhood?
I only had one in the Brotherhood. They had basically outposts, let's say, little factions of them, pretty much in every kingdom on NA East. And one of the first things that was going to happen on NA East, it was the Red Brotherhood or something. I've forgotten what it was. They were going to basically be vaporized within the Vargrim. That's who it was. Everybody was kind of, what fucking jerks, and everybody was going to vaporize them. So they were done. Yeah. Next,
what do we have? A lot of people might not remember this, but very early on, at least the first couple of years of CoE's development, there was a shitty tabloid paper that was going around. It was just writing shit about everybody, all the kingdoms, pretty much, all the servers. It was the Illyrian Examiner. I don't know if you guys remember that shit, but
I found that thing very amusing. I got published.
Yeah, they had their own website. They had their own website and all kinds of shit.
Really well done.
Delethris was one of your alts, the editor-in-chief for that fucking shit show.
Alex, are you on voice, my friend?
I am.
Would you care to step into the conversation right now, please?
Sure. So the last editor-in-chief of the Illyrian Examiner, Zachariah Zabel, was no other than me.
You shit! You shit!
I've been waiting for this one for a minute, okay?
Y'all are the worst. I don't know why you kept that from your community so long.
I kept it from everybody because what was going to happen is they were going to keep, and it kind of like as interest in CoE dropped off, obviously the interest in doing that. Same with our Bordweall Chronicles. It's kind of like, it's putting out a lot of effort for nothing kind of thing. But what was going to happen is they were going to carry on writing bad articles about us and, knocking some of the other kingdoms and everything, but particularly focusing us so that it would look like it was somebody from another kingdom. Quote, Adam, loved you now, but it was kind of going to be made to look like it was somebody from Vornair. And then when the game started, it was going to they were going to start changing the articles and start doing propaganda against Vornair and turning the community against them because they had just so many more peoples, 2 kingdoms. We're not going to beat them on that. So propaganda was all going to be a part of it, and the propaganda thing was in swing. All right, everybody good on that?
Well, so many secrets, so many secrets.
So betrayed.
I Another popular one was, did you really tell people to vote for a map you didn't want to force kingdoms to double down on one you would be happy with?
Yes.
Going back to the
Yes.
map voting.
Absolutely. Adam and I were still at that time kind of like bumping heads, and we all knew that that Adam was going to go with Kingdoms 1 and 2. He also had, and again, this isn't his fault, kudos to them, they also had more IP at that time in the Kingdom of Vornair, because it wasn't a vote, one person, one vote. It was a matter of you were voting by your IP. And they had so many double and triple dukes and everything like that in the two kingdoms that their total IP that they had was basically, it outnumbered. If I managed to get everybody else in Kairos, Fortuna, Elysia, many of whom didn't have lots of IP, to all gang up and vote against Adam, we still wouldn't have had enough IP to overrule him. So there was kind of like, again, a little bit of a propaganda thing. Hey, Adam, how you doing, buddy? We're just talking about you, so come in on this. And so it was a matter of saying, hey, we don't want this map, or we want to go for this map, etc. To try, and we actually teamed up with some of the kingdoms on NA West to try and get rid of some of the maps that we did not want that were being voted on. There was a lot of strategy and everything like that about it, and it was a fun part of the game, behind the scenes kind of thing, you know.
Sounds like a lot of deceit and lying and backstabbing and trickery is what it's.
Are you kind of,
you call it strategy?
He plays the long game.
Yeah,
it was funny and good, and I think Adam, who is here, will kind of like agree that I think, you know, for the first year and a half, we were definitely kind of like bumping heads, and I would call out Adam for his, I won't call them lies, let's call them untruths, for his propaganda. He would call me out for the same on mine, and it's kind of like jostling, which is part of the, you know, the Dance of Dynasties that was going on. And there was, for a long time, where it was like, yeah, you know, Adam, you know, fuck Adam kind of thing and everything like that. But I always respected Adam as being very smart and very shrewd. And in fact, somebody that, you know, I don't know, he was, I think, going to be very, very difficult to strategize against in the game. Very difficult. And I think that, you know, through our kind of like almost like our mutual journey in terms of Caspian, and kind of like calling him out and everything like that, I think we really got to understand each other, like each other outside of the game. You know, and actually, you know, like and respect each other kind of thing, you know. It's not like we PM every day or anything like that, but yeah, we, you know, Adam was looking out for the best interests of Vornair, and I'm looking out for the best interests of Bordweall, and we each had different cards to play with them. We had to play them the way that that we had, you know. Some of us had a really strong hand, and some of us had to bluff, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. So when tensions were rising between the two communities, did you have someone that stepped in and kind of helped?
Are you asking me to talk about you, Noslim?
No. What I was going to ask is very specifically, how many times were you told in PMs or questioned about my integrity and how I was a plant from Adam? Because it is a matter of fact that we worked together in the same building in the Marine Corps quite a few years before we got into CoE. So I knew him personally. And then some people said I was your number 2 guy, even though we didn't have numbers on anyone. Like, I never wore a fucking number 2 on my lapel anywhere. But but I mean, I was just going to steal all your shit and give it to him. You knew that, right?
Yep. I would get, you know, periodically messages about that. Did you know that they worked in the same building together, in the same unit, in the Corps, and it's Semper Fi, and, you know, they're going to look after each other and fuck you? And I'm like, you know, I'm not going to operate our community based on fear or something like that. You know, it's Muslim, you know, to me, and this isn't kind of like just about Muslim, but basically everybody that we had kind of like in our leadership circle, whether I'd known them a long time or kind of like only known them relatively, you know, some I'd known for 8 years in gaming, and some I'd only, you know, met literally through CoE and relatively recently. But they're all on the same footing with the same kind of like respect and level of trust.
I just wanted to clear the air there, and I wanted to make sure the community was aware that you were actively engaged with groups that were plotting against you, and that you were
Thank you.
actively writing articles as the Lyrian Examiner against yourself.
I never wrote an article for the Illyrian Examiner. This is you know.
Oh yeah, you were controlling.
Fake news.
You were controlling.
I wasn't controlling it either.
Editor in chief.
Nope. He was not. It was completely and utterly separate.
I had
you had
nothing
your man
to do
in
with
there.
it. I just happened to know the editor, and I never influenced what they wrote. Never.
Not once.
Not once, and I mean that. And I know you guys aren't going to believe me. But,
No, I don't believe you at all. My feeling.
Adam just commented on it in chat.
Muslim was never a plant for me. We are brothers from the core, and some people say that corpse don't ever do that. It's core, but didn't know that until after he was in Bordweall. Nas was always Bordweall first and completely dedicated to the Lethris. However, Naslim did help significantly with helping me respect the Lethris. If someone like Naslim was so dedicated to D, then he must be a great leader. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Appreciate the kind words, and obviously the same is back in respect, Adam. I still think that, you know, I genuinely hope that kind of like you and I and our communities still stay in touch. I mean, I think if there's something that's as a positive that came out of CoE, it's the entire CoE community, not just kind of like our sub communities of our kingdoms and everything, you know. And you know, who knows? You know, it's not like, oh, let's go grab a beer tomorrow. If I could and I had the money and I wasn't disabled, I'd get on a plane and do it, kind of thing. But I think we had good times in our own ways, kind of thing, you know.
You can't just be like the real friends.
All right, we have like 2-3 minutes before we transition to rings. Are there any more questions, or we done?
We'll never be done.
You know, we'll just put it in the past. We'll think about games we're going to play in the
Adam,
future.
do you have a question of me? How about that? Let's throw ring the one out.
Ooh.
Adam gets to ask you anything he wants, and you're going to be
you
honest.
Ask me anything I want. Yep.
Ooh. Oh, Borne was going to join.
No, read the message.
You fucking traitorous bastard.
Finish reading the message. Whoa. Joining in on LO.
We'll wait and see if Adam types up a message. Do you have another one, Noz, while we'll wait and see if he puts one up?
Is
we
Vornir
done, or if
playing as a
anybody else has
community in
one?
Low? I want to know.
The Lethers,
I just want to know if Vornir is playing as a community in Low. I'll see ya. Go get ya.
But you're on West, though.
You can travel from server to server. Did multiple times.
There you go, D. Delethris, are you finally going to admit that you were severely tempted to join Vornir prior to buying a king title, but didn't simply because we both acknowledged we needed a competitor on the NAE server?
I am willing to admit that. Are you willing to admit that you're the one that reached out to me and asked me to come join you, and not me came to ask you? Ooh. And that my reason for not joining was because we needed competition on the server for the health of the server.
And that's the thing, like, as a community, we all did so much in the interest of CoE, just to ultimately be dicked in the end, you know? And so I think that's a good note to go out on. We all got fucked, and Caspian is a piece of shit.
Was the people. The people are friends. That was it.
So
you got a rings video?
So for those who thought they would never see it, you know, Adam and I are on good terms, and as I say, I think we would have have a blast getting together and having beers, and hopefully joined by many other people, from within the community to do so. It's been
After
one
this
hell of a
Corona
trip,
shit's over.
and cheers to you, mate. For, as I say, there was only one person I really. It wasn't even the community of Vornair that I thought that, and that's not putting them down, because you have many wonderful people in there. But I wouldn't say I was shit. I was concerned, and I knew that our competition was going to be you and your brains behind that. It was like, holy fuck, we might get outthought on every fucking turn and corner here. Yeah, I'm literally I'm bedbound, mate. I venture out the house kind of like once every couple of weeks to get groceries, and I'm literally, it's a 4-hour trip, and I'm dying at the end of it. I'm literally in pain and crawling kind of thing. But anyhow, moving on, we are actually just past our thing. Everybody here, say goodbye to CoE. It's not going to, I'm sure we're going to hear a fuck CoE every now and then in a future live stream, but we're officially done with it. We're done bagging on it here on our stream, and thank you for that last. That's a great fucking placard, by the way, Borne. And Alex, if you can start running the intro for Rings of Una, please.
Lost to Time is the story of the catastrophic event that brought us to Una. What traces of history remain see that the Circle of Seven Centauri gathered our dying races and transported us to this bizarre and mystical place. Although uncertain at first, we are now thriving. Through portals, we found almost everything we needed to create havens for all. It has been generations since we arrived, and we are just beginning to master things like alchemy, smithing, and even magic. Through exploration, we've discovered more ring-shaped portals leading to other environments, all fantastical in nature. A number of us are venturing forth to see what exists in this new frontier. Will you journey to the Outer Rings to find out what lies beyond? Will you aid our people in piecing together the broken past? Or do you choose to become the backbone of our fledgling society? Let us unlock the secrets of the Rings of Una together.
Are we live now? All right, okay. We have a little bit of delay between what I see on the screen and what's happening. So it's kind of like in this kind of like amazing coincidental timing kind of thing. Is we're kind of like in our community, we were like watching people kind of like losing interest, etc. And I approached the Visard, who is a developer, and he's worked on a couple of kind of like named projects. I don't remember them all, so I don't want to mention them because I might get one wrong and don't want to do that. And I asked him, "Hey, buddy, what do you think about making an MMO for the community?" And he'd kind of hinted at it a couple of times before, and had shared, like, I think over the couple of months prior to this, little snippets of what he was doing and everything. And we talked and we chatted and we chatted for hours. And as we chatted for hours, we realized that we didn't want to make an MMO to make money, although obviously that would be a very, very nice kind of like side benefit, and nobody would be turning that down. But we wanted to make an MMO that was fun for the people involved in making it, and that it was going to be fun for the community to play. And so we kind of started talking and brainstorming over the next little bit. I made an announcement. That was on March 12th. So probably about 10 days before Caspian made his announcement. And we didn't, although I announced it in our Bordweall Kingdom channel, I didn't announce it on the forums because it's kind of, these guys are fucking sucking at their MMO. And here we are saying, hey, new MMO coming out. We're making it. Like, that'll probably get deleted or I'll get banned and whatever. So what we did is we were going to have a stream, and that didn't happen. In fact, this is now the stream about it. And then the hammer fell, right? In fact, I was working on stuff for Rings of Una when I got messaging saying CoE is dead. And my response was, it's been dead for a while, mate. What are you on about? He said, no, it's dead. What are you? It's dead. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we went and we looked, and I'm like, shit, Discord's probably going to get shut down soon. Forum's going to get shut down soon. I discussed with people as to whether I should make a forum post. They were like, no, don't do it. And this is while CoE was still active. And it was like, okay, we're going to make a post and we're going to try and, get as much as we can out of this. I made the thread about our MMO. It got, I think, amazingly good response, because over the course of the next, what would I say, 60, 72 hours, our team of I think we had 4 to 6 people when we started. We had 200. And they are producing stuff that you saw just now, and this is in the last 4 or 5 days. And understand that in those 4 or 5 days, we've had to deal with trying to sort out whose team, who goes where, of 200 people, some of which are strangers, some of which from kingdoms that we were going to invade on day 1 of CoE. And so it was this very amazing kind of dynamic and excitement. It's all starting to settle down right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand stuff over to Kit for about the next 5 minutes so that she can talk, answer any questions. I'm going to take a quick bio and stuff. And when we come back, we'll show a couple of the videos, some of the concept art that's going on. And Kit will tell you what's going on. Kit, over to you.
Yeah, and just to introduce myself, some of you may already have known me from the Chronicles of Illyria community. Some of you may have not, but I'm a big-time role player and writer. I was actually the core lore writer for Bordweall, so I've worked with many people in Bordweall on stories, so it was kind of a natural thing when Dee approached me about working on this project, which was originally called Wara to get involved and to help write a story that we could all enjoy. So the game, I'm happy to answer any questions, but just for a little bit of an overview, it's going to be a flexible fantasy MMORPG style game. And we're still working out exactly what the gameplay is going to be like, again, the 12th. So we already have a lot of concept art. Sorry that concept art triggers you, Adam. I can understand why. But we have concept art. We already have voice talent. We already have people working on soundtrack. We have people that are working on 3D assets, all kinds of stuff. So it's been really incredible to see the community come together to, and the community being the community that we were gaming with, but also friends of friends and things like that coming together to make a game together. And yeah, I'm excited to see how it's going to go.
I'm confused, Kit. I really am. Concept art may freak some people out, but I'm really confused because I've been following CoE for four plus years. We put $8 million to that, and we didn't get shit. And you have, as you mentioned, concept art, but isn't it also true you already have a playable client that multiple people can be in at one time now, and it's already online in just a matter of weeks with no money, and you guys are not asking for money until this shit hits Steam? What the hell are y'all smoking? You're missing out on so many opportunities here. We could go to Pinterest and load up some shit, and you guys could get rich here. You got 600 people in the Discord in 2 days.
Yeah, it is true that we do have a playable client at this point, and for the most part, that playable client is being released to our project members and our testing team and things like that, so that we can get eyes on the mechanics as we're building it. We have teams of people that are actually going into the game and the infrastructure that's already there and kind of fiddling around with it to get that information to the 3D team, for example, to say, hey, we need some more assets about this, or to the concept team to say, it's kind of like this workflow. We've got this really complicated workflow, so it's actually quite psychotic how complicated it is. But the lore team gives a concept to the 2D team. The 2D team builds the concept in that 2D form, that ships it to the 3D team, who then ships it to the world building team, who actually puts it in the playable client. So it's actually, there is a lot of content that already exists. There's a lot that can already be interacted with. And obviously that's not alpha content for the world to go jump into for the most part yet, but that's definitely coming down the pike, because we already do have so much that that is already in the works, that's already physically tangible. And I've gotten in the game and run around. I bugged it the hell out, and that was fun. But again, what do you expect with something really, really early? But the fact that we could do that was so fun, just to actually get into a game and to be able to run around.
Yeah. I'm not trying to trigger questions. We don't have a script here. I legit don't know how you guys have done all that you've done as quickly as you've done it. I've been working behind the scenes trying to help y'all with that influx of 600 people. I've been building 3,000 different rooms and voice channels for y'all and changing those permissions around constantly. So, that's sucked up most of my bandwidth when I was taking a break from Last Oasis and playing the lobby waiting game. So you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, we have so many channels.
But I'm sure while we're waiting on D, Ren and Mel might have some questions for you.
So Kit, what you're saying is that there's a game that is being developed that if you're part of the community, you're willing to allow the community to try and help or to contribute.
Yes. So the process for that right now, we had this kind of team of maybe 10 people-ish, and then that game, which shall not be named, crashed, and we suddenly had like 160 people join the Discord, and everybody was like, I want to help. So it's been a process of building up that infrastructure, the organization, and everything to make sure that it is going to go smoothly. But if you want to be involved, you can join the Discord. You can talk to Dee or myself. We're trying to leave Vasad alone because he's like our coding guy right now, and he needs to have his nose down to the grind.
Put your developer in front of your community. What
Right,
did we just talk about?
Exactly. So
we learned that lesson.
Indeed. So Dee and I are also developing the game, but from different standpoints, where I'm literally the lead writer, which kind of guides the rest of the game. Yes, design of the game. And Dee is kind of really helping with FAQ, helping with community management, helping with announcements, and kind of, being a lot of the face too. So he or I can definitely help you if you want to get involved. We do ask that you come with some kind of skill set. We have had some people that joined and they were really excited to help, but then when it came down to it, maybe they didn't actually have the time or the skills that they want to. We are going to be showing a ton of our stuff here in a little bit. So right now I'm just answering questions, and then we're going to show you a lot of stuff. So don't worry about that. But just I saw Adam asked about like sprints and SDLC. So that is out of my language zone. I'm going to be perfectly honest. But for example,
he's asking about project management.
Yeah, so like a flow that we have right now, we're using ClickUp to organize our project, and the way a flow might work right now, we're working on the starter island maps. So those concepts, the community actually got to vote. The lore team worked on 6 concepts. Well, we actually worked on probably 10, 12 concepts for the starter zones. I pared that down to 6. And then the community got to vote on those 6 to determine the top 3. That top 3 is getting shipped into the game. That's what we're currently working on building. So we're getting community feedback. Which concepts do you think are the coolest out of these things? So they're already things that the team has worked on, the team has approved of. So, at that point, we're happy with all of them, but we want to know what's really going to be popular.
Next vote you guys have, can I donate $1,000 and have the weight of my vote be 1,000 times heavier than everyone else's?
No.
Oh,
No.
shit.
No, I will go ahead and answer this one.
No.
We
Be happy to
we-
donate.
we are kind of like creating a different genre of MMO, and to differentiate ourselves from a meow, we're making a bark. So it's
A what? A
it's-
bark?
It's a bark. It's a bloody amateurish
like a dog
rendering
bark?
of a game kind of thing.
Oh,
It's it's we kind of like, we have a game plan that we want to follow, and Kit, correct me on any of the things that I might kind of like falter on or make a miss kind of like a pronouncement of what our intention is. What we're doing is we're coming up with a set of systems in a very low poly environment that are going to be fun for people to see, that they can interact with. And we already have the assets for this. We already have the software for it. We do not want a penny. The things that you see, support Bordweall and everything like that, support the stream. I want to make it very clear: do not contribute to that thinking that it's contributing to Rings of Una. We will have a separate thing for Rings of Una when Rings of Una comes out. Those are just things to support the to support our live stream and those projects and efforts going on. And so we are highly of the opinion, and our philosophy is that if we create something that is fun, even if it's kind of like not polished at the beginning or something like that, and people can see it and see the potential of it, they are already able to see that this isn't kind of like, that we are developing, that we are doing stuff. Adam had asked about production lines and everything. Some of us aren't familiar with this stuff. Fuck, when I used to manage a company of 200 employees, we didn't have computers in this kind of capacity. I'm having to learn ClickUp. We have somebody who just recently was wanting, and we will be taking on. This guy was the VFX production manager. He is familiar with all the pipelines and scrums and all of this stuff. And he was the VFX production manager for Godzilla, for Child's Play, for Zombieland. And he actually, when we were chatting about it, he's embarrassed to admit it. And he kind of like says, hey, it wasn't me that made the script, but he was also the production manager for the VFX for Cats as well. And so he's well familiar with kind of like tight timeline schedules, keeping people on track, keeping people focused, having to coordinate with multiple teams, communicate and kind of like keep it all going. I am, you heard kind of like, the voiceover stuff where, the talent that we have, I've just been amazed by. Not just the kind of like the passion and the enthusiasm of the people that have joined us, but the actual talent. We have now on the coding team. On the coding team alone, we have 11 people, of whom I think 7 or 8 are very proficient coders and have coded for games before, etc. And some are kind of like less so, but they're getting up to speed, etc. And it's just so freaking, it's exciting. It's amazing kind of thing, Kit, go ahead. Or
Yeah.
if you guys have questions, go ahead and ask them.
Yeah, definitely keep asking questions. But just as an example, so one simple project, how many different teams of people it's touching. So once, we voted, the community got to vote on the maps. Now Laura is working on fleshing out what those maps should theoretically look like, conceptually, all that good stuff. Then that ships to our map art team, our crafting team, our 2D concept team, our sound and music team, and our quest team. Once all of those teams have gotten their approval for what they're doing with it, that then goes where map ships to world builder, 2D ships to 3D, crafting ships to 3D, quests ship back to lore for proofreading, for writing, for expanding, sound and music ships to world building to actually get that music put in the game. And then world builder ships back to maps to tweak that product. And so it's like, there's so much great team involvement. And we're still finessing how that's working, obviously, because again, we're not a professional studio. We're a bunch of friends coming together to try and make something everybody can enjoy. But even in a week, we've managed to kind of rally and get organized really, really well. So I think unless anybody has endowment scroller and character making, our character maker is hopefully going to be somewhat detailed in the types of assets that you will have to add onto your character, but it's not going to be like a full slider scale game, because again, we're going with low poly graphics that still achieve an aesthetic style. And so obviously, again, we're doing this low budget. We're not taking money. We're doing what we have and what our 3D team can kind of flip. So
I'm still stuck on endowment scroll. My brain stopped working after that. I don't know what the hell you said.
It gives you a big package. You know,
it gives you a big
like
package.
some of us had in that game that won't be mentioned.
Yes.
Piggybacking on that kind of thing is that, you know, we don't intend it to keep we don't intend it to be at this kind of like low level forever. What we will see is kind of like, we will see how funding goes, and instead of kind of like being overarching and having feature creep and never launch something, is basically we will then be able to say, hey, you know, we've gathered this much, this is what we can do for the next thing. You know, our budget allows for XYZ amount. These are the features. Which features are you guys wanting? Because we can't include them all. And so whereas the community doesn't vote and make every single decision in the game, they definitely will have very, very influential kind of like decisions on some of the key and core parts of the game. Alex, if you can, sorry, Kit, go ahead before.
I was just going to say there was a couple of questions, and I can kind of talk while we're looking at some stuff. So yes, if you want to find information on what we need, what help we need, go join the Discord. Someone asked, Zerchek asked if there's going to be a class system like WoW or open classes. So we're still mechanically pulling apart what can be done. We've gone back and forth between a traditional class structure and open, more like skill built. It looks like the system is built more for the skill building style, but a lot of that's going to depend on what our code can do. So I have a whole write-up of what I want to see in the character creation and what I would like to ideally see with the class system. We have a guy, I always butcher his name, Sippy Shocks, who is brilliant at coming up with class concepts. And I love what he's come up with, but we're still trying to see if we can translate that into the code with the capabilities that we do have now. So I don't want to say, and I'm sure Dee doesn't want to say either, anything that's going to set us in stone, because we're still figuring out what the capabilities are of our coders and of the system that already exists. But we are definitely wanting there to be crafting. We are wanting
give us a date.
Give us a date. Yeah. no dates. Absolutely no dates. We're God, that just steamrolled my brain. We're wanting there to be crafting. We're going to have a housing system. I've already gotten to go in and like experiment with what it's like to lay down a plot of land. There will be 3 factions, and those 3 factions each have their own island that will be where they can start building their homes and do farming and crafting and things like that. So like we already have a lot of things that are established, but we're still figuring out the full breadth of what our system and coders can do. So
yeah,
bear with us.
We don't want to add things that are going to take the coders kind of like, you know, weeks and months, and it delays kind of like, you know, getting to the first thing. Let me hop into our Discord. Hold on just one second.
I got a question. So if I'm doing all this work for you guys in the back end, which has been a lot, not really, but it really has. Am I going to get a free Steam key or something?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I was about to quit. I wasn't going to help anymore.
Yeah, and obviously this is not a paid project. It's a volunteer project, but I do think there was a conversation of definitely like the people that are helping can pretty much already access a lot of the content. So we definitely want to make that.
Yep.
available.
Website is being worked on to address the dates. When will the game launch? And if you join if somebody can put up there, in fact,
Yep.
Kat just did. There's the link to our Discord. The first thing you should do is read the FAQ, and if you read that, it's like, when will the game launch? And my response to that was, the game that sank 1,000 projects, and obviously didn't name the most recent one. But rather than give definitive dates to raise hype, only to often have it deflated, we're going to tell you where we are at the moment, how long we project until the next step, and a glimpse at what the next step is after that. Because to give we're all familiar with kind of like following pre-launch games and pre-launch communities. They always get delayed. So as of this moment, as of March 30th, which was a day or two ago, we have a test client that we can log into, run around, experience generic combat quests, resource gathering, chat, NPC interaction, and so on. We expect to have a more complex semi-generic land that the devs can work together in and tinker with within 3 weeks. This will be a more complex version where we can start introducing more complicated mechanics. And the next step after that would be to have a landmass created that is based specifically on our lore. And this is again where our world builders come in and everything like that. And I'll only give a time estimate for that once we reach the step that was above, which is us getting, the semi-generic land kind of like up and running. So
Kenos is on fire right now. Kenos is on fire. I'll just give you a summary. So, no date, but you guys move at the speed of, like, in a week what Soulbound did in a year. So when's going to be the month of the storm? That's what Kenos just wanted. I helped him a little bit.
There is snow in there. There is no NDA to be signed. We kind of like, we have things that kind of like, we talk amongst each other in our various groups that people say, hey, better if this doesn't come out. But each of our teams is able to, although they can't, if you're in a team in one of the channels in our team Discord, because you're working on 3D modeling, you can't necessarily go and chat in the lore channel, but you can read everything that's going on in the lore channel, so that you can, if you're interested, you can see what the other teams are doing and kind of like what's coming down the pipeline and what to be ready for, etc., etc.
No, we are really protective of the lore because, for the following reason, there is a lot of like secrets to this world, and we really don't want to expose those secrets. Even people that aren't really interested in storylines in games and stuff, I really think that this is a compelling concept that when you kind of do figure it out, it's like, oh, like that puts a whole twist on this game. So we are trying to kind of keep some of the lore on the down low. There's sort of like the public facing lore, and then there's the under the surface truth lore, and that's part of the game we're hoping to be able to bring, is for people that care about that, to have opportunities to explore the secrets of that. So
yep,
there are some secret channels.
If we can, we have two videos. One's narrated and one's relatively short. Alex, if you can start putting those up, please. These videos, I just had somebody kind of like record yesterday. So we had a glitch. The NPCs kind of like got balked out of the client. So you won't see NPCs. And I don't think there was anybody actually running around at the time. Again, mainly because we're just all busy at the moment, kind of thing. But go ahead and launch those videos if you would, Alex.
So this is the current pre-alpha client for Rings of Una. There isn't a crazy amount of stuff you can do, although it is a playable game, and of the many things you can do, you can float on buildings, or next to buildings. At the moment, there are no NPCs. There were NPCs in the game. There was a quest that you could do, however, they have suddenly disappeared. According to one of the devs, the NPCs are displaced, and that seems to have something to do with them all being missing now. But there is a working teleporter. Just going to teleport to the opposite side of the map. See here, I'm on this little dock, and there's another missing NPC. There are very many bomber bugs that you can fight out there. All these ones with the red names are aggressive, and they will aggro if you get too close, but I cannot attack because there's no NPC to give me weapons. But going back to the city, there is currently a snow cycle. It's not... There's only night and slightly darker night, and then there's also times where it'll snow, and when it is snowing, many of the surfaces will have snow on them, pretty much everything except for the ground itself. And out here in this field, this blue thing is a claimed piece of player claimed piece of property. I can do the same if I go into the inventory and use this land deed. And every player currently does have a bomber bug pet. You can control how it behaves, although you can't... Oh, I clicked despawn. But you can't set it to just attack, which I find is... I guess it's redundant because there is attack and aggressive, but these trees are all cuttable. This is the cutting animation, or the wood cutting animation at the moment, and I have an extremely high wood cutting level because this is all you can currently do now that there are no weapons and there's no combat. But this is what the wood cutting animation does look like. I think I just got stuck here. So I have to wait for the animation to finish. There we go. But as you can see, you stand for 9 seconds, the tree falls, and then you can collect resources. But this is a playable client. This is online. If someone else were to join, I would be able to see them. I'd be able to talk to them. I can add them to my friends list. It's all working, and that's more than you can say about other games. I won't make any, or won't mention any names. But yeah, that's all there really is to this. If you are interested in following the development, definitely join the Discord. I'll put it in the description of this video. And I imagine in the near future there will be a dedicated YouTube channel to this game as well. But yeah, thanks for watching.
Thing at the bottom.
Yeah, almost.
Alrighty. So yep, now we are going to look at a bit of a GIF. There is daylight in the game, but that gives you an idea. It's crude, it's janky at the moment. You know, we're not kind of like saying, "Oh wow, you know, this is brilliant, this is awesome." Yes, I saw that pop up there, Adam. I was like, "Damn!" But you know, we do have the daylight mode for it as well. It was just when he was in there, and I was asking people to do it on short notice. Yep, thank you, Porky of the Pine, for putting that together for us. You get a little bit more of an idea. You know, they're in world building mode and GM mode, so that's the edge of the map that you're seeing there, and he's starting off actually underneath the skin of the terrain, etc. You know, so this
I got questions, D. You
sure,
know me.
fire away.
So I mean, what is the general feel? I know it's kind of early, but you know, you guys. Yeah, he said it in the video. You know, he threw a jab there. That was fucking good. I gave a big LOL on that. But what is the general feel? You've got this influx of talent and these people that are genuinely, passionately wanting to help you, not asking for anything in return. What is the feel from your perspective? You know, are you anticipating drama and infighting with all these different people, volunteering to help out? Like, or, you know,
There's
what's the general
inevitably going to be
atmosphere?
some.
What's the
Yeah,
general
I mean,
atmosphere right now? Everybody's just happy and just contributing a fuck ton of shit.
Everybody's happy currently and contributing, but I think also everybody's very enthusiastic. For a lot of people, myself included, fuck, I've never been on an MMO team. This is kind of like holy shit kind of thing, you know. And what we're going to find is that, you know, these are all volunteers. These aren't paid employees and everything. And for some people, it's the interest is going to wane. For some people, again, communication is kind of like going to be a big thing as to how they request things from other people, especially if we've kind of like got timelines internally that we want to try and meet and stuff. There will be. I mean, you can't. I don't. Maybe there are groups out there, but typically in Western society, you're not going to get 50, 100, 150, 200 people together and not have conflicts. It's not going to happen.
Well, Porky's
And
already celebrating. He thinks he's famous now because 100 people viewed his work. Like, don't quit your day job, kid. This ain't prime time yet.
Not just yet,
you
buddy.
guys are doing awesome work, though.
What we're saying
very
is we will bring this out because we're going to be able to do it with a much smaller team. Although obviously it would have taken a bit longer.
I
We
think
will
your
be
team is
bringing out the
bigger.
first. Sorry, what was that, Ren?
I think your team is bigger.
Well, we have 600 people in the Discord, but not all of them are project members on the team.
Yeah, and I think that there's some truth to be had with like the work that we do for fun. We're often more successful with because it's for fun. It's not our job. It's not what we have to report to. It's a work of passion. I mean, I've been interfacing directly with lore, with quest content, with 2D, with maps, with 3D. Like I've been talking to a majority of the teams that are more of what you see in the game, not the mechanical side, because my brain, I don't do code. But like these people are doing it because they enjoy doing it, not because they're being paid to do it and they have to do it to make a living, but because it's fun, because it's rewarding. I mean, I was personally feeling pretty down with everything that's been going on globally recently. And then Dee asked me if I wanted to help with this. And I was like, hell yes. It is a wonderful distraction.
Are you telling me you're quitting once coronavirus is over?
No, of course not. But it was, it was something to get that creative energy out again and really create something fun, because I love playing games, but I'm also more of a creator. Like I like games where I can go in and build things. So this is kind of cool because I'm helping create something where other people can then go do that. And that's like super rewarding. And I think that that's why we're seeing so much enthusiasm. I'd love for us to show some of the art that people have been making if now would be a good time to do that.
I kind of wanted to get Mel's take, if you don't mind, on what she thought of the assets in the game currently, and Ren, what you thought of where they're at currently with the project, because you've got experience managing stuff like that. What were y'all's thoughts on that?
Oh, you want to go first?
Sure. So I am super new to all this. I had my head down working on finals for the past ever. So I really am only just getting my first looks at everything, and I'm not officially working on anything for the project. I think currently it's not custom assets. Am I correct?
Custom assets purchased, correct?
These are all currently store-bought assets, and I'll address that after Ren and yourself have spoken.
Right, but honestly, the most important thing I think is that you guys have something out there that you're testing, and you can iterate on it, and that's the biggest thing. You have to have something to start from to build a game, and you guys clearly are already putting that all together. And so frankly, art doesn't, for me at the moment, that's not really you don't need to be worried about getting it polished to the level of final art at this stage. That's not, get placeholders, get your gray box in, get all the scale correct, make sure there's universal scale that all the artists can work from. But other than that, I mean, like I said, you guys you're getting assets in there, you're testing mechanics, I think you're doing everything right so far.
Yeah, and looking at that, like I am completely came into this blind because I've been a little busy recently, but looking at that, I already saw world interactivity with initial assets. Like most of the time at that level, you're going to be working anyways. So the fact that you have assets in there, which kind of hint towards collision, which is always one of those things that collision can make or break a game. You know, if you're trying to hit something that's not actually there, that, you know, but you're already working towards that. I saw interactivity, I saw collision, I saw, from what I saw, from, what did you say, 3 weeks of this is the kind of thing I'm like, huh, they got it together. And they you guys, you're all gamers, so you know what you like and what works well and what doesn't work well.
That
So,
particular world was put together in a week. That one
yeah,
that they're running around in.
that's substantial. Like, that is substantial. I mean, everybody looks at assets and that's how they judge games, but I don't judge games based on assets. I think mechanics are what make the game, and the fact that you're focusing on mechanics and you have interactive world environment, which at its very fundamental base is a difficult thing to put into a game, and you're starting, which means that you've already taken it into consideration for the rest of it. So I think that starting with what you want in mind, your requirements of your project, means you're going to be successful, and you're building on it iteratively the way you guys talked about it. So, okay, these are the core, and these are the nice to haves and must haves, nice to haves, extra. And you guys have already talked about how you want.
Yeah, one of the
That's a good way to get to
projects.
success.
Yeah, one of the projects that I had the lore team work on was going into the asset packs and kind of making a list of the assets that we had so we could have it in a written form, because that helps us start with, okay, what do we have, right? And then that way we can prioritize with the 2D and the 3D team what assets we need to build immediately that are going to be custom. So, for example, there's a temple that we're working on, and I don't know if now would be a good time to put that up or not. But this temple is really important to not only the gameplay of the game, but the story of the game too. So it's kind of an essential piece for all styles of players, because it's this temple that sits at the middle of the center city, and that's going to be where some of the portals to get into the other zones are going to be. It's literally like a center of the storyline. It's where your character creation is going to start. So we wanted to get the team on this immediately, because it was going to be something that was going to be integral to the game. And we don't need to worry about the other standard buildings that are going to be around right away, because we can just kind of put them in the game, and then as time goes on, you know, swap them out. As Teradin said, assets can be changed. So, you know, it's really cool to kind of build what are our high priority items that we want to get in there and work on. And again, you're seeing on the stream several iterations of the work that's been going into. So these are by, and I hope I pronounce your name all right, but Atakin, who is a very talented artist, described himself as like being obsessed with art. And this kind of stuff is incredible, because then lots of people are getting their hands on it and they're beginning to build this for the game. So that is like really, really incredible. And the fact that, again, we're here in like a week of community work.
Yeah, I'm seeing modular build style. So and from what I'm hearing, modular style more than seeing it. But the idea that, okay, we can kind of plug and play, and you're open to using existing things as well. Like that shall not be named didn't want to use anything that existed, even though things were already really well. Like, just, you don't need to reinvent the wheel if the wheel already exists. And the fact that you guys are willing to utilize that speaks volumes about your maturity, because I know that's kind of an ego thing for some developers. Well, I could do it better. I don't need to use that. I could do it better.
Well, they didn't mind reusing shit from Pinterest, but yeah.
So if I can pop in here and kind of like just kind of like clean up a couple of comments that were made in there. Yes, absolutely. All credit to the Visard for getting that client up and running. I mean, it's just what he is doing, as I say, is just absolutely fucking amazing. I mean, it just really is, and the entire kind of like team. But it is such a collaborative effort, of which a lot of it kind of like goes on behind the scenes, and people doing kind of like thankless stuff, but it all helps. It's like, you know, I made the comment that, you know, everything you see there is store-bought assets, and somebody commented, not the loom. I actually haven't been in the client in the last 2-3 days because I don't have time to log in. I mean, we are literally that busy kind of thing. And so the loom that was in there is actually already been made and designed from scratch by one of our 3D artists, just checking things out. To give an idea of kind of like the initiative that the individual teams take by themselves. And to me, this is kind of like, again, just kind of like one of the phenomenal things, for want of a better word, of what's happening is we have 15,000 assets. 15,000.
Wow.
That's
insane.
Yep, some of them won't make it into this particular iteration of the game. I mean, we have a Unity asset pack called Gangland, and it's gang wars in LA. And you can make, you have meth labs and the FBI and all of that stuff.
And you have rights to use all these assets.
Yes, we have all of these
assets.
Yes, absolutely. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be taking, okay, maybe we're not going to use all or even the vast majority of these Gangland Wars assets, but there's stuff from that little meth lab pack that we can take. Those little spirally things and the vials and the test tubes and everything, that goes into alchemy right there. Boom. Stuff. So the next thing that is done is the 3T team are now cataloging all of these assets. They're literally laying them out, and they've already made great progress. And they're looking at this stuff and they're saying, look, guys, you guys have all these 15,000 assets, and they're kind of like, they're all from different packs. And yes, they're all poly, but some of them are in slightly differing styles to each other. And, maybe not everybody will pick up on it or everybody will notice, but some people will, and it might be a thing to them. And so we internally, we've discussed it and what we can do. And we've come up with what we're going to do is we're not going to redo all of these assets. It would be impossible, logistically impossible, to get this game out in a timely manner and redo all of these assets. So they've come up with a brilliant solution. It's like, okay, what we're going to do is for each biome, for each kind of like area that you're in, we're going to create a 32 color palette. And those are going to be the only colors that are going to be in that, which in low poly is very doable. Those are going to be the only colors that are in that area. And so the items that are kind of like of a slightly different art style and was standing out because it had a bright orange roof, that bright orange roof is going to be gone away, and it's now going to be the same color as the roofs on the other buildings. So it will give the impression that it's closer to things. Sorry.
That's a unified palette, and that's something like, hey, like the basic art thing that you don't always see. That's really good, having a unified palette. Like, hey, we've identified our theme for this thing. Immediately, we know what we're doing. Instead of kind of putzing around with theme and concept 4 years later.
And Zombie is saying Breaking Bad MMO. I don't want to give too much away at the moment. Yes. But there is an option. Kit, yeah, we can talk about it, right?
I said there were secrets.
I don't know anything,
I'm shutting up.
I was lying.
Done.
I just made it up.
Sorry. Okay.
It's gonna have drugs and hookers. I'm in. Let's go.
I'm
not gonna be a Caspian. My bad.
That's everyday life for me. Let's go.
Don't be the leaker.
I'm not gonna be the
leaker. Okay. So
conspiracies. Hashtag conspiracy.
Can we just throw up though the concept art of the Centauri that has been worked on?
Absolutely.
Because I just want to give a little bit of flavor to some of the setting here. So it is a fantasy setting, and this, you can see, this is Hellenian. These are concepts for Hellenian, who is one of the Centauri. And it went really fast when we were watching that video, but the basic premise of the game is that there were races that were at risk of dying, species. Oh my gosh, as my cat knocks over my screen behind me. So these races were dying, and this other race somehow brought them to Una. So this race are the beings that brought the dying to Una and left them there, and then they abandoned them. So there's this mystery. Yes. See, you can conspiracy theory about the story. So Hellenian's theme is fire and summer, and and things like that. And so you can see kind of that fantasy-esque. The hair seems to be almost made of fire, and we had different iterations of the costuming and everything. And in some of them, Hellenian is actually holding like a small tree in their hand. So that temple that you saw, there are going to be these beautiful stained glass windows in the temple that show each of these Centauri, and the islands, the adventure zones, will be themed around these beings. So Hellenian will have an adventure island that might be full of lava and, you know, fire elementals or freaking dragons or phoenix, or, you know, the possibilities are pretty limitless. And that kind of theme stuff is what the community will get to vote on to some extent, because the lore team kind of creates the biomes, and we create all these iterations of potential biomes and things, and then that goes out to the community to be voted on.
So, critical important question from Abayan, is there dragons?
There are dragons.
Yes!
Dragons confirmed.
Are there tiny dragons like this?
I'm going to give a spoiler. I'm going to give a spoiler
Please
about an
let me-
NPC.
Oh yes, please do. Please do.
In the starting city, there is going to be a bedraggled little NPC shuffling around with his head looking at the ground, and the name above his head. It's going to be Caspian, and he's going to be mumbling some of the famous quotes from the game that is not to be named, such as, you know, if you stop and you pause and you sniff that air, you can almost smell the bread rising in the oven. You know, have anybody seen anybody selling any nuts? Because I've lost mine. You know, there's going to be we're going to have some fun with this game. This game is about having fun, and there's not any reason why we can't have a little bit of fun at stuff going on.
We do have actual permission, by the way, to have a dragon boss named after a certain community person.
Yes.
So that will exist.
Borne will finally get to slay Serpentius.
Yes.
Okay, so my concept art from the previous one was accurate. Concept art.
Yes, it was. It was a premonition, Ren, without any of us knowing it.
Oh boy. So as you can see, we're having a lot of fun with this, and I think it's going to be really awesome. And again, like even for people that don't necessarily buy into story, I think there will be elements of NPCs or bits of story that will be interesting to everyone, as hinted. And we're hoping to be able to incorporate different elements of gameplay that this is something Dee and I have theorized, so this is not a saying that it's going to make it to the game, but this is something that we conceptualize that we'd really love to see, is the concept that when you're running up to an NPC to get a quest, that there will be different options you can select, where it's basically like, let me just go. I don't want the quest text. I just want you to tell me I need to go kill 6 things.
From the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, I know. Nozzle would love that. And then
I love your lore stuff, but I don't give a shit. Skip.
Can I get a 3-word summary?
We're going to have it to where you don't even have to skip thing, you know. I'm not going to say that it's going to be in the first iteration that comes out, but we have a goal where you can actually in the options in the UI setting where you'll be able to toggle kind of like lore or no lore. And so, you know, for some people, lore is so important and it's so rich and it's so deep and it's so immersive. They want to know why they have to go collect this or why they have to go into this dungeon or where they need to go. And me, I'm kind of like, I'm on the Noslim side. I fully support the lore behind the game. Do not get me wrong. It gives reason as to why this world exists. It makes sense to some of the things, so that it's not all just a disconnected hodgepodge of stuff and people go, what the fuck? But I want to be able to go up to an NPC and he says, yes, you need to go to the dungeon. It's to the northwest by 2 miles here. I don't need 12 screens of text explaining in words and names that I don't care to pronounce. But we as the developers of this game have to recognize, we have to acknowledge, and we have to respect that this is a key core fundamental part, just like it has to be respected that some people don't want it. you know. And so we're going to try.
Really
Sorry,
fast.
go ahead.
It lets you write quests really fast. You don't have to have the lore
Yes.
in to put the quest in and test it. It's about like scalability, modular. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, and we're hoping to be able to have between 3 to 4 3 to 4 levels. So no lore, just tell me to kill 6 things. Here's why you should kill the 6 things, or let me tell you really, really why you should kill the 6 things. So sort of, 3 or 4 tiers.
And then let me really tell you why the 6 things, and let me describe each of the 6 things in intimate detail and why they're here. And
I
so,
want
yeah,
it to be narrated by D.
I so wanted to be the fucking voice actor in this project, and I heard the people voice acting in the sound channel. Oh well, I'm out. You know, we will probably have a boss. We'll probably have maybe an M boss that I get to sound voice, and the sound engineers can work with it. But it really is fun. I can't explain it any other way.
Plague mask.
Is that an item, a wearable item?
Maybe.
Is what, sorry?
Plague masks.
Look
at Kit.
It's like, I will probably not be playing in the game as a player. We have already a request has been put in to the 3D team. It is to be put on the back burner. It is not high priority, but they are actually going to be making me a Plague Doctor outfit based upon the character that Mel drew up for us, or for me, a couple of years ago. And it will have it'll basically be in black robes. It'll have this very long, almost bone kind of like beaky plague mask coming out that almost reaches down to my waist. I'll have that little curly stick in there, and kind of like, I don't know how you would call. I don't know whether it would be emblazoned or embossed. You can't really kind of like do that too much in low poly, but it will actually have the Rings of Una quest on it. And we're going to have kind of like sometimes spontaneous world events. We're going to have all kinds of things, but I'm going to be going around and I'm just going to be banning bots. I'm going to be banning exploiters and all the shit that fucking always used to piss me off in other games.
So it's
oh my God, I will be happy to the end of my years if that's all I get to do.
It's the GM uniform, except in this case, it's the Game Reaper.
That GM uniform will be exclusive only to me. Kit might be able to have her own design, Visad might theirs, but that is going to be mine.
And we do have an Easter egg. We will have Easter eggs for sure. I think there will be a lot of fun glimpses into people that have worked on the project or things that we as a community have faced in the past. We have a document where we're tracking Easter eggs. Maybe Nos Jelly can be an item, a crafting item in the game.
Nos Jelly could definitely make it in.
Oh my God. I think
Nos Jelly.
Prevalent Easter eggs for all of the things.
And Kit is going to be able to define what Nos Jelly is and how you extract it.
GoHab has curbed the market on Nos Jelly. No one else can take that from him. Why are you doing this? That's just not.
I'm just saying, this is the beauty of lore, Noslam. We get to take all this community content and give it a story, and and it's immortalized forever.
Easter eggs are the best.
He looks horrified.
They don't mean any. I love running across the games. They're like, why is there like all of the weird things in Skyrim? You'd find them and you'd be like, I have no idea. Why is this butterfly in a jar and there's letters on it? I don't understand, but I must like that kind of thing. You're like, it's important. I'm going to keep this item. It doesn't have any value.
There should be a peddler called GoHab hoarding all the Nos Jelly, says Unfettered. But yeah,
a traveling peddler that if you can find him, you can sell him that for some exorbitant fund.
I'm adding it to the Easter egg document right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Delethris, we're at an hour 45. We're at just under 70 viewers.
Yep.
We're starting to dip a little. What else do you
We
guys got?
let's start wrapping it up, guys. Does anybody have any other questions of us before we basically scoot out?
When's the next time I can see pretty things, and when can I make more conspiracy?
Oh,
And next, sorry, go ahead, Kip.
I was just going to say, can we announce the channel that?
Yes. And I might be repurposing the dev update channel. I just want to make sure I'm not going to be kind of like if Visard had specific things that he wanted to be put in there. But yeah, you can go ahead and explain the new channel that that Noz is going to create tomorrow, but he's not aware about.
So what we're going to do is we're going to have a channel, and this I'm assuming is going to be open completely to the public. And it's just going to be called the Snapshots channel. So snapshots are literally just going to be different things from different teams. For example, the sound and music team already has one ready to release that's going to showcase some of what sound editing does. What does post-production look like? So you'll just be able to see different snapshots of what we're working on at the moment, you know, kind of who's doing what. So this is to replace a word that I shall not repeat because it gives people flashbacks right now to not pleasant things.
Is it soon?
but that snapshot channel, yes, shiny, that word. But we're not going to necessarily have them on a schedule. It's just going to be, you know, this is what was being worked on. For example, the concept art, the sound team, the music that they might write, little bits of intriguing lore.
There's custom
yes,
music.
we have a full custom music team. My partner is actually an audio engineer and has like post-production experience and soundtrack writing. We have several talented Mises or Mises, I don't know how you actually pronounce it. Someone else during the stream actually messaged my partner and said that they want to help with soundtrack. So we're definitely going to have custom soundtrack that's themed to each of the areas. We have voice acting. Not every quest I can imagine is going to be voice acted, but we're definitely going to have ambient voice acting, and hopefully for like any main story kind of things. So yeah, we have a great sound department already, sound team.
I'm excited.
Renegade's like,
no, you just have to show me pretty pictures, and then I'm just gonna sit there and be like, I have like I don't need to know anything for sure. I'm just gonna make stuff up. It may or may not be true.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Zombie. D, can we meet the devs? So this particular BBC, this is our final BBC. We've worked hard on these, been consistent. You got to admit, guys, we've been very consistent. Even when we didn't have shit to talk about, we still showed up and tried to entertain you and help you along through this journey. But we will still be here, and you'll still see my crazy antics and hillbilly humor from time to time. But we're going to be focusing our efforts on Rings of Una, and we're going to, you know, focus our passion and energy on that project and being excited about the milestones that we set dates for and hit successfully. Maybe not, but we're going to be focusing on those initiatives there and keeping you guys up to date to what we're doing with that community project. And I don't know if I could have said that any better or not, but you guys have a crack at it if you think you could.
It's going to consist of us
snapshots. I've given instructions to the team leads as to how to do the how to funnel the snapshots up to us. You know, we don't want to do weekly shinies because people have expectations, and you know, kind of like almost as a little parting jab, I'll be fucked if I'm going to go back and kind of like look 3 years back because I don't have anything to show to dig up some kind of like little Pinterest image to put on there. We're only going to be putting on there stuff that comes out as it comes out, that people can see, that they can see what's happening. So maybe some weeks or every 2-3 weeks there's a lot of them, and maybe there's kind of like, you know, there's you know, the pipeline slowed down and everything, and maybe you don't see anything for 2 weeks. We are not going to make it kind of like a weekly thing where if it doesn't show up, people are disappointed, you know.
Hence no schedule.
Yep.
It's also a volunteer project, So
But when
Exactly.
you're fucking blazing trails like you guys are, nobody gives a shit because you're just constantly pumping out stuff, right? So we're not having to wait months and years for shit to never be delivered.
it's a passion
There
project.
might be a bit of a slowdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll ebb and flow. You know, we're going to be really honest about that. Again, none of us. I work 2 jobs right now. One is a 35-hour-a-week job. The other is like a 10-hour-a-week job. Plus, I'm working on this. Like, there are going to be times where, you know, my team gets me all the content, and it's time to go edit that, and I'm like, okay, give me a few days, right? There are going to be, if the quarantine lifts anytime soon, we might have music people that go back to work and they're not able to make the soundtrack as quickly. But you know, we're gonna keep pushing as much as we can.
I'm not drunk, Holly. I just sound drunk all the time. Sound like a dumb drunk hillbilly. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Get used to it.
Yep. And once again, I think that I'd put the disclaimer in there that, again, remember that the Patreon is for supporting this live stream. We will be having something down the road specifically for Rings of Una if you're going to want to support Rings of Una. We do not want anybody supporting Rings of Una necessarily right now because we just believe that it was kind of like I never finished off that thing. I'm going to go into another ramble. If we make something that's fun, you guys are going to like it. You're going to want to support it. If it's fun, it's going to be successful. If it's going to be successful, it'll start generating money of its own accord. And that's kind of like the order that it goes in. If we can't make something that's fun, that people want to play, we don't deserve a fucking penny of yours. Period. Done. You know?
That's fucking transparency right there. I love it. I appreciate the work you guys are doing.
I mean, again, like my goal is to produce something that everybody's going to like to play and that there's going to be something that they love. And if people just play it and say that they had fun for 10 minutes, like we get something out of that, right? That's the
I'm just excited that there's new things I can.
All right. We will be streaming every 2 weeks. We will have a different look. Hopefully, we are slammed. So it's like, oh, fuck, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do, that. And we just have so much on our plate right now. I do hope that we have a slightly different scene, even if it's kind of like a plain one and it's just in the color scheme of Rings of Una. We will have it. We will be streaming every 2 weeks.
Are you going to hand draw every damn brick in this next one like you did this last one?
No, it's going to be every fucking star this time, I guess.
I'll help you out, D.
And just
thanks,
so that
Mel.
people are aware of who the quote unquote core team are, so who is heading the project, it is Deletherus, Visad, and myself. So if you have any major questions, D and myself are the ones to talk to, not poor Visad, who's so swamped.
Yeah,
but
don't pick on your gems.
Noslum's who to talk to. Katie is who to talk to if you're having issues in the Discord, and we super appreciate that that you guys are there backing us up because we don't have time to deal with that.
If you're having actually, if I can interrupt on that, if you're having issues on the Discord, message me first because Noz is doing this while doing other things and enjoying games, and I can filter out or answer quite a few of them. And when there is something that's specific that I can't handle, that kind of like involves kind of like changing perms or this or that, and I don't want to fucking touch it because I'll delete the bloody server. That's when I get Noslum and Katie involved.
No, but I'm getting questions on development, coding, and like all kinds of questions. I'm like, dude, I don't know. Talk to those people.
If you just want to vent, I'm here though. I know nothing.
Guys, it is, and kind of like for me, and I'm going to say goodbye, but everybody else can do their goodbyes as well. For me, it's kind of like, it's with sadness that I say, hey, this was our last, our last stream that included CoE as a major topic. I'm sad for us as the community and as our loss. I love all of you that have been with us on this journey. And I hope that you stay with us, because it literally, pukingly cliche as it sounds, the next step of the journey has already been taken, and we're excited about it, and we hope that you come along on it with us,
Well said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
thrilled. It's been amazing, and I'm glad that so many people are so excited for it so far, and I hope we can really deliver an amazing product. And we have an amazing community. We have been through hell and back, and backstabbing and back, and politics and back, and I could go on, but we have been through a lot, and this is our.
I'm sad we don't get to be a kingdom together, but this is probably better. It's like it's not nearly as much politics and backstabbing, and I don't even want to think about the shenanigans. This is better. This is
I
we actually
boycotted
could be
politics.
we could be a team on this kind of thing, and everybody could be on the same team, even if they were on different teams before. So
Right, and in
Or-
game you
Forward.
can still fight if you really, really, really want to.
all
So
good
Ren,
TVP too?
Ren and Mel specifically, I hope you guys will continue to join us. We can ask these tough questions on stream and continue to help them every couple of weeks. And we've been a pretty solid presence here for the BBC for a while. So let's pull these team leads in and ask them the tough questions and let the public know how they're doing. I think we can continue to do a good job for them in that regard as well. And looking forward to it.
Are you telling me I
For
can
sure.
interview people about a game that's coming out?
Yeah, that's actually being fucking worked on. It's so cool.
Oh, that's exciting. I like that. Oh. Well, that's my day. I'm good. Bye, guys.
Yep, it's been fun, guys.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a good night. See you next
Thanks
time.
all. See you in 2 weeks' time. Take care.
Lost to Time is the story of the catastrophic event that brought us to Una. What traces of history remain see that the Circle of Seven Centauri gathered our dying races and transported us to this bizarre and mystical place. Although uncertain at first, we are now thriving. Through portals, we found almost everything we needed to create havens for all. It has been generations since we arrived, and we are just beginning to master things like alchemy, smithing, and even magic. Through exploration, we've discovered more ring-shaped portals leading to other environments, all fantastical in nature. A number of us are venturing forth to see what exists in this new frontier. Will you journey to the outer rings to find out what lies beyond? Will you aid our people in piecing together the broken past? Or do you choose to become the backbone of our fledgling society? Let us unlock the secrets of the Rings of Una together.